One question I get a lot is, Farai, can you mix punk rap vocals using free and stock plugins? And the answer is yes, you can. And you can make it sound great as well. What is up, everybody? It is your boy Farai. Thank you once again for tuning into another video. And as you know, we're going to be mixing some really cool punk rap vocals using free and stock plugins within FL Studio. So if you're into that, definitely stick around. So yeah, man, pretty much today we have this vocal effect that we have going on. This is a remix of Nothing Nowhere's song Blood, which I think is really cool. His album sounds really great, but you can obviously apply this to any sort of punk rap, and with the right tailoring and adjustment, you can pretty much tailor it to any punk rap sound. So stick around for that. Let's jump straight into it. I'll play the track we have, and then we'll break down the vocal chain. Let's get it. I can't feel a thing right now. Cold world, it's a cold day. Missed the signs, went the wrong way. Got blood on my hands, I rip the heart out. Get fed to my back, so I cannot stop now. Pick up Paul walking in this bitch the way I race now. Shooting drugs, I'm numb, I don't wanna talk now. Alright, there you go, you get the idea. Really cool, really upfront, and very much saturated. Part of the punk rap style is definitely making sure that your vocals sound saturated, sound nice up front, and really just kind of, glide over the beat, but in an aggressive way. I think that's where the core differences are. But yeah, man, so we'll get straight into it. As you know, we are using stock and free plugins, and for those who are new to the template format, you obviously just add your mic into here, and you're good to go. But we'll be focusing on the main vocal chains. Let's get straight into it. So, after you've recorded with your main vocals, you can then run into the vocal chain. This is all set up for you, and we obviously begin by adding saturation to our vocals and then pretty much dealing with the rest of the mix. So before I really get into the vocal chain, I'll just bypass the chain without or take away all of the plugins so you can hear the difference before and after. Feelings running through my head, but I can't feel a thing. I can't feel a thing. So as you can hear right there, it's boxy, it's well recorded, but it doesn't fit in with the instrumental. One thing we have going with this instrumental is that the kick and snare are quite boxy sounding, so we obviously need to tailor our vocal to that. So, you know what I mean, once we turn on our vocal chain. Feelings running through my head, but I can't feel a thing. I can't feel a thing right now. Cold world, it's a cold day. Missed the signs, went the wrong way. Got blood on my hands, I ripped the heart out. So I already played it to that part, so you can really hear how, the vocal is still competitive, but not overpowering when the beat kind of opens up, right? We can really hear the difference here. We've got more of kind of like a bass line going on, but here we have the rest of the guitars come in, and that's generally where most people's vocals fall apart, is kind of struggling to fit everything into the mix. So, this is how we get it. So first things first, man, I love to saturate vocals, especially when I'm mixing more guitar type beats. With vocals, I'm always going to be adding a little bit of saturation. This is going to be adding a natural amount of EQ that really an EQ can't add. You know what I mean? It's kind of just filling out all of the empty spaces in your vocal. So I'm always, adding a little bit of saturation. This is the Analog Obsession Transsature, I guess we would say, and I love using this tube transformer sound. It kind of turns my mic into a U67, and it's definitely going to add some character to any other condenser microphone. So really cool, sounds nice. I just simply turn up the input gain, and we get this really nice saturation added. After that, I run into a Fruity de-esser. Now, over time, I've really started to like this plugin, especially when you learn how to tone it in, or how to dial it in. So one thing I use this for primarily is really de-essing, as you can see. And what I do is I pretty much set up these settings to really help just tame the high end of the track. We don't want to have too much of a spiffy vocal sound. We want to allow the snare to kind of take up that treble region. So if you just pay attention to the red compression gauge, you can see how much compression we're doing. Got blood on my hands, I ripped the heart out. Get fed to my back, so I cannot stop now. Pick up Paul walking in this bitch the way I race now. So as you can see, every time we hear an S sound, it just compresses it. So this is really a beautiful preset. After that, man, SSL EQ. So a lot of people ask me, what do I monitor with when I am recording, right? Not when I'm mixing. There is a difference between monitoring and then mixing. You don't want to have every plugin on. I know when you download these, every plugin is on. Some people's computers can handle it. Generally, what you want to be doing is only monitoring with an SSL EQ. That way, once you're ready to mix, you can really kind of, piece in together the plugins that work for you. Okay, so this is what it would sound like while I am recording and not while I'm mixing.
Yeah, blood on my hands, I rip the heart out. Yeah, feds on my back, so I cannot stop.
It's not really doing too much, but it's just kind of giving me a rough idea of what the final product is going to sound like. This is really the meat and potatoes of the whole mix. I mean, I've got these SSL EQs here, the real thing of this emulation, and this is pretty much how I'm mixing. All I really do is compress a little bit, add a bit of EQ, and then I do all of my additional kind of magic effects, and that could be to do with the reverb, etc, etc. So all we really do with the SSL EQ is I'm generally going to be recording while listening to the filter. I really want to get rid of a bit of that low end, just so I kind of know how far back I need to go from the microphone. I generally won't do any EQ, but once I'm ready to start EQing, I'm going to be getting rid of everything below around 200, 300. From there on out, I'm going to be just, tucking away a lot of the 200 region, maybe popping around 3K, 4K, 5K, wherever my vocal needs a bit of bite. You can really think of this green section right here as the bite section. You could even add a bit of body if you go for the 600. It sounds great. And then we add a bit of snap, bit of air to the vocal presence region around 8,000 hertz, and we get a really nice sound. So, this is really cool. This is the updated analog obsession equalizer. It's been made bigger, it looks a lot cooler, and it definitely represents the SSL sound. So really cool. After that, man, what we would then do is I like to really get in depth with the vocal, get up close, and then deal with it using a parametric equalizer. These are both parametric equalizers, except these have kind of limits or ranges where they can work within. So each band has a designated range. So you can see the low frequency section can go from 30 hertz all the way up to 450. But the difference with a digital parametric EQ is that we can pretty much use any of these bands anywhere we like. So that allows us to really get in depth with how we EQ and what we EQ and how thin we can go with the EQ, like over here, and notch filter and do all sorts of beautiful things. So, that's really what we do here. I really just work on these two regions. I'm getting rid of a bit of that kind of spiffiness from the vocal, and then I'm dealing with around, 400, 500, 600. Maybe I might want to duck if I do feel the vocal is present, but maybe a bit too boxy. And then 200 is really going to help the vocal fit in with the kick and snare. I highly recommend you watch some EQ tutorials so that you can learn to customize this for yourself, so that this can really be more beneficial to you when you're mixing your own tracks, because different type beats will have different types of snares, and maybe the 808 sounds a bit different, so you want to be able to deal with that. So that's kind of our EQ out the way. Again, then what I do is I add a bit more saturation. I really want to get that kind of saturated sound going. It adds up and does definitely fill out our vocal sound. So after that, again, this time around I went for more of an API style saturation, and that has to do with more of an op amp transformer sound. That's kind of the API sound in a way. Makes it sound like we are running through an API summon console or something like that. So really sounds good. Simple and sweet again. But after that, this green section right here are going to be our secret sauce effects, or our modulation effects, reverb, time-based effects, etc. First thing we start off with is a kind of emulation of the waves, the IRL, which is a old convolution style reverb, and it sounds really cool. I like to tuck this in about 2-4% with kind of like a whole sound, and I just tuck that behind the vocal and just adds a really nice sound. So if I was to turn this off,
yeah, blood on my hands, I rip the heart out. Yeah, feds on my back, so I cannot stop now. Pick up Paul Walker in this bitch, the way I race now. She drugs, I'm numb, I don't wanna talk now.
I just always feel like adding in time-based effects, what we can call them, modulation, which is your flanges, your reverbs, your delays, adding a little bit of these effects onto the main vocal itself just kind of spreads the vocal sound just a little bit, enough to really help us fit that vocal into the beat. If you feel your vocals are poking out a bit too much, definitely go a bit more heavy on the short reverb rooms and that kind of thing. It just kind of helps the vocal bloom, and that's a nice way to describe it. So mess around, try and mess around with the diffusion. If you want more of a symmetrical sound, you can go for that. If you want more of a natural reverb sound, you can keep it as a square, as a box, etc, and it sounds really good. After that, we've got a new plugin which people probably haven't seen me use yet. I've been using it for a while actually, and this is the glitch shifter from Air Windows. This is again a free plugin, and it's kind of like a weird version of an H3000. It's absolutely strange. I mean, you can add this onto all sorts of different things, and it's going to have a different effect. But really what it does is it pitches whatever you put into it. So if I was to just kind of show you what this sounds like fully.
Yeah, blood on my hands. hands, I rip the heart out, get fed to my back.
Sounds absolutely chaotic when we blend in too much of the wet signal or too much of the kind of effect. But when we tone it back just a little bit, again, it just adds this really nice weight, kind of natural pitch that our ears can't really hear, but we can feel that effect in the background of the track. That's really what we're trying to accomplish with these green effects. So really cool. Again, you can go and download this plugin for free. Just search Air Windows Glitch Shifter and you'll be directed on Google to the page you need to find. After that, again, man, I love adding the Seth Firkins flanger effect onto a main vocal towards the end of the chain, just to help kind of soothe and blend together the final sound of our vocal chain. And in this case, I would be using the Fruity Flangus, which is really cool. I love the default preset. Always just manipulate these faders just a little bit to kind of blend it into the sound. But again, 4% is the magic number.
Got blood on my hands, I rip the heart out, get fed to my back, so I cannot stop now. Pick apart, walking in this bitch the way I race now. She drugs, I'm numb, I don't wanna talk now.
And just blend it together, it just kind of creates this really beautiful tape sound. Does almost a little bit of de-essing, almost a little bit of compression. Sounds really cool, and this helps our vocal fit into the beat more. So really cool. But yeah, man, that's pretty much all I would really focus on. I'll leave the rest for a different video, so feel free to comment below what else you'd like to see from this template. You can check out the link in the description. If you want to purchase yourself a copy of this, you'll get an FLP with the download links for all of these free plugins, as well as all of these presets that have been set up for you, as well as installation video for those who might not know how to install third-party VSTs into FL Studio. So yeah, man, if you enjoyed the video, definitely smash that like button, subscribe for more content, punk rap related, rap vocal related, FL Studio related, and definitely check out links to my vocal recording course, vocal mixing course, and vocal enhancer for FL Studio. Hopefully you had a good time, hopefully you learned something. I'll check out next time. Peace out.